Hey y'all, Angel Audio here with another video. Aren't you guys so lucky? Aren't I so lucky? No one even listens to these yet. Anyway, we're gonna talk about the Navajo Skinwalkers today. The witches of the Southwest. I think it's funny how, like, in different places, witches are different things. Like, in some places, they're like, wow, look at this beautiful, bewitching lady. And in other places, they're like, it's a creepy little monster. Look at that gremlin, like, wandering around. And it's, I don't know. I think people are just, like, in general, magic is magic, and so it's a witch. And then you get into, like, like, wizards, warlocks, witches, other stuff. Also, I thought as a kid that witches were only girls. No, actually, witches can be boys, too. There's, like, different subtext, like, I think the big reason why people started thinking witches were only girls was because, like, people started doing the, like, green face stuff, and then J.K. Rowling was like, oh, a wizard is a boy, and a witch is a girl, and so everybody was like, well then, that's how it is. But now, apparently, there's, like, boy witches, which is interesting. I think witchcraft itself is interesting. Anyways, we talk about the witch stuff here. This witch it's like more of a monster witch, but, you know, it's cool. Okay, so, in the Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. This witch is called Yi-Naldalushi by the Navajo, which translates to, with it, he goes on all fours. It is just one of several types of Navajo witches and is considered the most volatile and dangerous. For the Navajo people, witchcraft is just another part of their spirituality, and one of the ways of their lives. As such, witchcraft has long been part of their culture, history, and traditions. Witches exist alongside humans and are not supernaturals. The Navajo believe there are places where the powers of both good and evil are present, and that those powers can be harnessed for either. Medicine men utilize these powers to heal and aid members of their communities, while those who practice Navajo witchcraft seek to direct the spiritual forces to cause harm or misfortune to others. This type of Navajo witchcraft is known as the witchery way, which uses human corpses in various ways, such as tools from the bones and concoctions that are used to curse, harm, or kill intended victims. The knowledge of these powers is passed down from the elders through generations. Ooh, family of witches. It's like inherited. The Navajo are part of a larger culture area that also include the Pueblo people, Apache, Hopi, Ute, and other groups that also have their own variations of the skinwalker. But each includes a malevolent witch capable of transforming itself into an animal. Among these tribes, a number of stories and descriptions have been told through the years about the skinwalkers. Sometimes these witches evolved from living their lives as respected healers or spiritual guides, who later chose to use their powers for evil. Though they can be either male or female, they are more often male. They walk freely along the tribe during the day and secretly transform under the cover of night. See, so theirs is mostly males, but everybody's always like, ooh, a witch, that means it's a woman. But no. Also, see, I knew that they had medicine men, because, you know, I know a little bit about their culture, and then also my uncle just likes watching cowboy movies, so they're always like, we are this medicine man, and I'm like, sure, bud. I don't know. But I remember, I don't know if he'd be considered a witch, but there was one Western movie, I can't remember what it's called, but we watched it like several times, where this witch doctor dude like kidnapped girls and like murdered several people and sold them to slavery. I don't know. I just remember that the daughter was like the daughter of a medicine man or something, or a native, and they were like, oh, well, since you're part of the tribe, sort of, that means you can help. And then she didn't want to be near him because he ran off or something. I don't know. I just remember the guy being really evil, and I didn't like watching it when I was younger because I was like, this is very graphic. But, you know, it's not the most graphic thing I've seen anymore. I don't even think it was the most graphic thing I'd seen back then, but I thought it was weird. Anyway, in order to become a skinwalker, he or she must be initiated by a secret society that requires the evil list of deeds, the Illuminati, the killing of a close family member, oh, most often sibling, aww. After this task has been completed, the individual then requires supernatural powers, which gives them the ability to shapeshift into animals. Yay! Most often they are seen in the form of coyotes, wolves, foxes, cougars, dogs, and bears, but can take the shape of any animal. They then wear the skins of the animals they transform into, hence the name Skinwalker. Sometimes they also wore animal skulls or antlers atop their heads, which brought them more power. They chose what animal they wanted to turn into, depending on the abilities needed for their particular task, such as speed, strength, endurance, stealth, claws, and teeth, etc. They may transform again if trying to escape from pursuers. Because of this, the Navajo consider it taboo for its members to wear the pelt of any predatory animal. However, sheepskin, leather, and buckskin are acceptable. Yeah, I guess I've never really seen any stuff for, like, any predators. I think maybe bear skin every now and then, but yeah, most of the time they're just like, oh, I have buckskin or bison or cows and stuff. Oh well. Skinwalkers are also able to take possession of the bodies of human victims. If a person locks eyes with them after taking control, the witch can make its victims do and say things that they wouldn't otherwise. Once they were shape-shifted, one way that others would tell they were not a real animal is that their eyes are very different than those of the animal. Instead, their eyes are very human, and when lights are shined on them, they turn bright red. Alternatively, when they're in human form, their eyes look more like animals. See, so I've seen a lot of the, like, stuff where they're like, this animal doesn't feel right or seem to be acting or looking exactly right. And so people are like, oh, it's a skinwalker, which sounds horrible. But, like, have you guys also heard about, like, the not deers? Like, there's a lot where people are like, this deer is obviously not okay. And I think I even saw a video one time where, like, a deer came up and, like, its neck was, like, its head was to the side. I think someone had hit it with his car and it just, like, kept living for some reason. And so people were like, oh, not deer, that's a not deer. Which, I've seen several deer around my land, and they, so far, none of them have really acted too strange, you know? So, I'm hoping we're all good. And I knew a lot of the times people would say skinwalker if, like, your family wasn't acting exactly right, or if something just seemed off with them. I don't know. I remember a lot of skinwalker stories where, like, it also involved humans, not just animals. So, that part I kind of connect with. I'm always, like, trying to find parts in these things that, like, I've heard about before, so I'm not just completely going in blind and being like, wow, what's this? I mean, it's nice to know things, but also it's nice to see the parts where I know things and I don't think I'm crazy. Anyway, the evil society of the witches gather in dark caves or secluded places for several purposes: to initiate new members, plot their activities, harm people from a distance with black magic, and perform dark ceremonial rites. These ceremonies are similar to other tribal affairs, including dancing, feasts, rituals, and sand painting, but were corrupted with dark connotations. The evildoers are also said to engage in necrophilia with female corpses, commit to cannibalism, incest, and grave robberies. None of that is great. Grave robberies seems a little less important compared to the others, though. During these gatherings, the skinwalkers shapeshift into their animal forms or go about naked, wearing only beaded jewelry and ceremonial paint. The leader of the skinwalkers is usually an old man who is very powerful and long-lived skinwalker. You are snoring so hard, girl. I love you, though. Anyway. Skinwalkers also have other powers, including reading others' minds, controlling their thoughts and behavior, causing diseases and illness, destroying property, and even death. Those who have talked of their encounters with these evil beings describe a number of ways to know if a skinwalker is near. They make sounds around homes, such as knocking on windows, banging on walls, and scraping noises on the roof. On some occasions, they have been spied peering through windows. More often, they appear in front of vehicles in hopes of causing a serious accident. It is said that in addition to being able to shapeshift, the skinwalkers are also able to control the creatures of the night, such as wolves and owls, and to make them do its bidding. Some are able to call up the spirits of the dead and reanimate the corpses to attack their enemies. Because of this, the Indians rarely ventured out alone. Oh my gosh, owls. Okay, so like whenever I used to work like night shifts and stuff, and I live in a very rural part of Oklahoma. So my job was like 40 minutes away and I worked in the middle of the night. And so I'd have to like drive 40 minutes after being in the middle of the night. And one time I was coming home and I took a different route than usual because something with one of the roads was up, so I didn't want to try to like drive that in the middle of the night. But then like there was this big owl in the middle of the road. And like I drove up slowly because I was like, I don't want to hit a giant owl. They're really cool. But like I also haven't seen a lot of owls like just like right in front of me, you know? Especially not like just sitting still staring at my truck. So I like slowed down and I stopped and it just kind of looked at me. And then like I kind of tried to creep forward so maybe it would stop standing there. And I finally took off, but it was a really big owl. I thought it was really cool, but they're like owls and I'm like, owls? I just thought about it at that moment, but I don't know. It probably wasn't a skinwalker, but it's interesting. It is said that nope, I already said that. Its supernatural powers are uncanny, as they are said to run faster than a car and have the ability to jump high cliffs. They're extremely fast, agile, impossible to catch, and leave tracks that are larger than those of any animal. When they have been seen, they have been described as not quite human and not fully animal. They're usually naked, but some have reported seeing the creatures wearing tattered shirts or jeans. The skinwalker kills out of greed, anger, envy, spite, or revenge, which is most reasons to kill. It also robs graves for personal wealth and to collect much-needed ingredients for the use in black magic. These witches live on the unexpired lives of their victims, and they must continuously kill or perish themselves. Okay, so they have to at that point. Like, if they don't, they're gonna die, which is sad. See, that's always the one thing. Like, I hate watching the Animal Planet all the time because I don't want the prey to be killed, but I'm also so sad whenever, like, the jaguar or something doesn't get the food it needs, and I'm like, no, it's gonna go hungry. But also I'm like, yay, the little thing lived. I don't like watching things die. I can't do it. Skinwalkers and other witches have long been blamed for all manner of unexpected struggles or tragedies through the years, including sickness, drought, poor crops, and sudden deaths. Even smaller individual problems, such as windstorms during dances, alienation of effects by mates, the death of livestock, and reversal of fortune, were often believed to be the work of a witch. So anytime something bad happened, they're like, yep, it's a witch. This was most apparent with the Navajo witch purge of 1878, which initially evolved from a cultural response to so many people moving across and onto their lands. After the series of wars with the U.S. Army, the Navajo were expelled from their land and forced to march to the Bosque Redondo Fort Summer in New Mexico. In what is known as the Long Walk of the Navajo in 1864, why did we make these people do so many terrible walks? Why couldn't we just let them sit there? Let them stay where they are. Maybe we go build around them. Or, you know, be nice and don't kick them out and actually be friends with them like we said we were going to be, and then we weren't. Why are people terrible? There the people suffered from bad water, failed crops, illness, and death, reducing their numbers dramatically. After 4 years, the government finally admitted that they had made a mistake, and the Navajos were allowed to return to their homeland in the Four Corners area. Yay! It's so rare they actually accept they've made mistakes. During these years, many of the tribe's members were said to have turned into shape-shifting to escape the terrible conditions. In the meantime, the rest of the tribe were convinced that their gods had deserted them. All valuable reasons. Valuable? Valid. I know words. Valid thoughts. Once the people had returned to their homeland, their conditions improved, but the dreaded skinwalkers, for whom they blamed for their years on the bleak reservation, were still among them. Accusations of witchcraft and the haunting of the skinwalkers began. When someone found a collection of witch artifacts wrapped in a copy of a treaty in 1868, the tribal members unleashed deadly consequences. The Navajo witch purge occurred in 1878, in which 40 Navajo suspected witches were killed in order to restore harmony and balance for the tribe. I understand. Good reason. But Salem. I don't know if this was before or after Salem, but so many times people are just like, if we just kill this large amount of people, it'll be good. Sometimes it's not as large as other things, but what if we stopped killing large amounts of people? Would that make it better? I feel like it would make some things better. Maybe we stop killing large amounts of people. Today, most of the tales and sightings of these witches do not include death or injury, but rather are more trickster-like. Numerous people have told stories of swift animals running alongside their vehicles, matching their speed. After a short period, however, they run off into the wilderness. Along the way, these animals sometimes turn into a man, who sometimes bang on the hood. Ooh, I would hate that. I would die. Another story tells of a man who was making repairs on an old ranch home when he began to hear loud laughter coming from the nearby sheep pens. Thinking he was alone, he went to investigate and found all the sheep but one huddled in the corner of the pen. However, there was a lone ram separated from the group that was standing upright and laughing in a very human manner. After the man locks eyes with the ram, he sees that its eyes are not that of an animal, but very like a human's. The animal then casually walked away on all four legs. No. That's when you say nope, and that's when you get the fuck out. That's nope. That is a horrible. That would be. Ugh. I don't want any animal to ever stand up. I don't know. Especially like goat and ram eyes. Their eyes are like so weird looking. So to have like a normal eye look at you like that, no. It's really not a laughing. No. I hear laughing in the freaking middle of nowhere when I'm supposed to be alone, or like it doesn't sound like my family's laughter. I'm getting a weapon. I'm getting a gun or my axe or something. I'm not just gonna casually walk over to the sheep pen. No. That's how you die. That man should have died. God. Okay. Some say they have seen them running through the night, sometimes turning into a fiery ball, leaving streaks of color behind them. Others have seen angry-looking humanoid figures looking down on them from cliffs, mountains, and mesas. See, I've heard a lot of humanoid figures. Like, they're not exactly human, but they're almost human. I don't know. In the 1980s, one of the most notable events occurred when a family was driving through the Navajo reservation. As they slowed to make a sharp curve, something jumped from the ditch. It was described as black, hairy, and wore a shirt and pants. Werewolf. A few days after this event, at their home in Flagstaff, Arizona, the family was awakened to the sound of loud drumming and chanting. Outside their home were 3 dark forms of men outside their fence. However, these shadowy creatures were seemingly unable to climb the fence and soon left. I don't want people outside my fence. I don't like people being around where they're not supposed to be. It weirds me out. These events have occurred in the Four Corners area of southwest Colorado, southeast Utah, northeast Arizona, and northwest New Mexico. In the 1990s, a ranch in northwest Utah, far away from the Navajo reservation, became the partial focus of the Skinwalker Ranch. Called the Sherman Ranch, the Skinwalker Ranch, and the UFO Ranch. This place has a history of UFOs, aliens, and cattle mutilations and crop circles located near the Ute Indian Reservation. These people have long thought that the Navajo put a curse on their tribe in retribution for many perceived transgressions, and since then the Skinwalkers have plagued the Ute people. Oh, okay, so that's why it's there. I've heard a lot about Skinwalker Ranch. I know someone made a TV show where they've been like going down there and trying to like figure it out and everything, but I don't think they've ever found like any actual evidence. But I heard a lot like a bunch of stories of like the people who originally lived there and how their like cattle all got like very mutilated and stuff. And then I don't know, I just heard a lot of bad stories about it on YouTube because I listen to a lot of creepy stories. But I don't know, I think it's interesting. I'm pretty sure once again, I would like to go ghost hunting, and I would like to go like cryptid hunting and stuff, but also if I saw literally any of these things, I would immediately be noped, and then like I'd run, or I'd have a weapon with me, hopefully. I don't think I'd go to one of these things without a weapon. I know that they're like mythical creatures and stuff, but at least having something something is help, you know? Like, I'm pretty sure if I swung my axe at a ghost, it wouldn't help, but it's helpful to have for reassurance. Maybe if I put holy water on it. Does that work on ghosts or just demons? Or something. Salt. I don't know. Anyway, witchcraft represents the antithesis of Navajo culture values and is not tolerated. They work to avoid it, prevent it, and cure it in their daily behaviors. However, when it exists, their laws have always said that when a person becomes a witch, they have fortified their humanity and their right to exist, so they should be killed. However, skinwalkers are notoriously hard to kill, and attempts are usually unsuccessful. Trying to kill one will often result in the witch seeking revenge. Successful killing generally requires the assistance of a powerful shaman, who knows spells and rituals that can turn the skinwalker's evil back upon itself. Another alternative is to shoot the creature with bullets that have been dipped into white ash. However, this shot must hit the witch in the neck or the head. Traditionally, the Navajo will not speak with outsiders about these creatures for fear of retribution by the skinwalkers. For that matter, it is a taboo subject among the natives themselves. These are not things that need or should be discussed by outsiders at all. I'm sorry if that seems unfair, but that's how our cultures survive. Dr. Adrienne Keene, Native American academic, writer, and activist. See, that sounds reasonable. I mean, if you don't want to be taken apart by a monster, you might do things to not achieve its wrath. I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting to learn about these things, and if these things are real. If, because I know a lot of people really do believe them. I know I see, a lot of TikToks and stuff of natives being like, oh, that was for sure a skinwalker outside, or these people genuinely are skinwalker, you know how some people are like, oh yeah, Mothman, and then they don't really think it's real, and they're not for sure serious as they're we joke about Bigfoot, or we joke about little people on our farm, but we're not going outside thinking that it's actually there, But I don't know. I get these people genuinely seem to be upset by it. So maybe some parts of it are true, or maybe just so much of it's freaked them out. I don't know. I've seen stuff where people have said, "Oh, not deer," or this animal's acting funny and things. And once again, I think there has to be a bit of truth to some things, 'cause sometimes it's hard for your brain to come up with things just on the spot. I know it's super easy for some people and super hard for others. And for things to go on for this long, I feel at some point there's got to be some truth to some of this stuff. Maybe not all of it, and maybe not this exact thing, but I don't know. There's a lot to the world, and there's a lot of things that no one really understands. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me too much if, one day someone's like, oh, this for sure is a skinwalker, and that person probably immediately gets killed because, skinwalker. But anyway, also, I think it's weird how they're we have medicine man and shaman, but no witchcraft. I'm it's sort of similar stuff. I guess witchcraft is more black magic, but, things are how they are. I'm looking at my window now that's right in front of me, and I'm I swear to God, if I suddenly see one, I'm going to be so upset. I don't think I'm going to see one because I don't hear any of my dogs barking, and they're monsters. Or if someone even drives by, they freak out, so they'll hear a rustling in the distance, and they'll be oh my God, we gotta save the family. So I don't really think there's anything out there, but I don't know. Now I'm I'm gonna see one. It's always a big concern with me because I like having my window open, but I'm always worried that at one point I'm gonna look out and something else is gonna look in and be oh, great, that's nice. That's great. Anyways, so skinwalkers. A lot of this stuff I sort of knew about. I didn't know a lot of other stuff of it. I don't know. Once again, I think it's interesting. I think it's nice to know where some of this stuff actually comes from instead of just being yeah, skinwalker, knowing some of the history of it. I think they're cool. Anyway, next week I should post the last video for November. And I still haven't decided on which 2 tribes to do that over. I'll figure it out sometime during this week. I got a lot of stuff going on. But anyways, I hope you like this video. I hope you stay safe. I hope you guys have a good day. You know, all that good stuff. Don't fight a skinwalker. Don't turn into a skinwalker. Don't skinwalker. Don't skinwalker. Bye.